Hello, and welcome to all of you. Thank you for making a stop at the gallery with me. If you wish, get your glass or mug of something tasty to drink, and let's appreciate this work of art I have to share with you all today. Romantic Prelude is a 2009 Japanese film whose other title, Otonari, means next door neighbor. As the two titles suggest, in this movie, we the viewers are given the prelude of the love story between two next door neighbors. It might be helpful to note that the word prelude is defined as an introductory piece of music. Prelude is also defined as an action or event serving as an introduction to something more important. This work of art, as a prelude to a love story, is, I would argue, quite effectively presented on a miniature canvas, a 2-hour movie runtime, with minimalist brushstrokes of sound and color that intrigue the senses. The one regret I have here is that, maybe because of the age of the film, I don't always have clear, crisp images to share with you when we get to that part of my analysis. But maybe that's okay in the end, because sounds are an essential part of this story throughout, in keeping with the prelude motif. In addition, the movie both begins and ends with an auditory experience for us, the viewers, or should I say, for us, the listeners, before we see anything on the screen at the very beginning. And then, as the end credits are rolling, we get a collection of final sounds and a significant, satisfying closing dialogue. The moments in the lives of our female lead and male lead are told in parallel, with the boundaries of their two lives occasionally touching, becoming a shared boundary, like that thin shared wall between their two apartment flats, or the sounds of their separate lives coming across to each other through this shared wall like osmosis, in sneezes, singing, beeping electronics, jingling keys, French travel phrases, daily rasping revolutions on the hand-cranked coffee grinder, snatches of an argument, or soft sobbing. I don't know about you, but this got me thinking, what are the sounds of my daily life? And what if some stranger was listening in? Sometimes the shared boundaries of their lives look like a field full of wildflowers, or a favorite coffee shop visited by each of them at different times, or a shared hometown, or the shared frustration of dreams thwarted. All of this parallel storytelling worked effectively for me to create a sense of longing for their two stories to intersect and become one. The theme quote chosen for my analysis comes from the movie itself. These are the words of a side character speaking to our female lead as they sit on a park bench beside a lake. His speech is all about the concept of a keynote, or kicho in Japanese. Here is what our side character has to say. I often come here and close my eyes like this. That way, I hear things I don't normally hear. Do you know a keynote? It's often used to describe the sound of a landscape, like the wind or the din of a crowd. You don't notice it at first, but it's always right there. And if it's not there, you feel like you're missing something. A familiar keynote has a soothing effect on people. A heartbeat, for example. You've heard how a baby relaxes when hearing its mother's heartbeat. I sometimes think, even as adults, people are looking for a keynote within themselves. But that sound is not easy to find. And even if they do, they tend to disregard it. I mean, you can't see it, and you can't explain it rationally. It's not something you can easily tell someone about. Through the stories of our male and female leads, perhaps the movie is asking us as well to consider, what is your keynote within you? Next is a series of images from the movie related to this theme of the keynote within. In these scenes, we have our female lead hard at work at the flower shop and in pursuit of her license to be a floral designer and to teach herself French in order to travel to France. This image of still blooming flowers relegated to the trash can by the hands of our female lead is symbolic of lost potential for love in our female lead's life, be it family, friends, or a romantic relationship. She has sacrificed these things in order to single-mindedly pursue work and is now realizing painfully that work is all she's got. Here is our male lead working hard at another photo shoot for one of the magazine models. We learn that he left his first love, nature and landscape photography, in order to help his celebrity friend by being his personal photographer. He is coming to realize painfully that he's been using his friend as an excuse for not doing the original photography work that he is truly inspired to do. In this film, we get a growing sense of both of our lead characters' frustrations as they realize either they're not listening to their own internal keynotes or their internal keynotes have gone slightly out of tune from an original good tone. I found this to be such a relatable message with a helpful challenge. Sometimes I've started with a good keynote or main idea behind an action or a thought, and like our female lead, pursued good work with perseverance, but then gone out of tune, so to speak, and neglected relationships. Or, like our male lead, I've begun with a good desire to help another person, and at some point further on, used that help as an excuse for not doing something else that it was time to do. As the story unfolds, we get another layer to the keynote theme to add to the need to pay attention to when a keynote within has gone out of tune. There is also this layer to the keynote within, the way that each of our leads is tuned in to the other, to the sounds of each other, and the presence of the other as next-door neighbor. And there is also their growing realization that they have a soothing effect upon each other. In other words, each of them acts as a keynote for the other and have become part of the keynote within for the other. When he's struggling with the knowledge that he's used his friend as an excuse for not pursuing nature and landscape photography, our male lead takes comfort in the sounds of his neighbor, diligently engaged in her daily routine of practicing French. And then there's my favorite moment in the movie when our female lead is crying next door after the stinging realization that she sacrificed relationships in pursuit of her dream. And her neighbor comes over close to the wall and sings her favorite song back to her through the thin barrier like a lullaby until she is comforted and able to sing along with him. They frequent the same favorite coffee shop, though never at the same time. While sipping her drink, the female lead's calming routine is to gaze at a landscape photograph hung on the wall. Unknown to her, this is a photograph taken by her neighbor. As the male lead sits in the coffee shop, he is encouraged by looking at an arrangement of flowers in a vase. He doesn't know it, but this is the work of his neighbor. When the two parallel stories finally intersect, and these two neighbors finally meet face to face, and all is revealed, the looks of recognition are a beautiful thing. Now it's time for the final part of my analysis, a piece of music that fits with the theme of the keynote within. This was a fairly easy pick for me, as it is the song sung or hummed throughout the film. It is the iconic Japanese song by the 1970s folk rock band Happy End, and its title, translated to English, is Gather Up the Wind or Collect the Wind. I've provided a link below in the description so you can have a listen. The band member who wrote Gather Up the Wind had this to say: "One thing about wind is that it is something that can't be seen. For human beings, it is always the things that can't be seen that are the most important. Love, wind, justice, even God can't be seen. It's these important things that can't be seen that I've always been drawn to from a young age. I feel like the things that can be seen aren't what it's about. You know, money, status, these are things you can see." Now, in doing a bit of research about the theme song, I was interested to learn from other sources that there is a word in Japanese to describe the landscape of memories or dreams or fantasies, or the image of scenery in a person's mind's eye. From what I read, the 4 characters used literally mean heart, image, wind, shadow. But one source explained that you can translate this as the scene within one's heart. This has a similarity to the concept of the keynote, I think. Well, our time is at an end for this movie analysis. If you wish to be notified when future videos are uploaded, click the subscribe button. And now, as we continue on our way, let's do our best to stay awake, to gather the beautiful.